The wedding dress was bulletproof. Not metaphorically. Literally. Because in Brie's world, even love came with snipers on the rooftops. How many snipers? She asked. 47, Minjun replied without blinking. Custom Givenchy. White silk hand-stitched with Kevlar. Brie stood in the bridal suite of the Grand Hyatt Seoul, staring at her reflection. 6 months ago, she'd been invisible. Now she wore a 15-carat diamond, a dress built for war, and the weight of a criminal empire on her shoulders. You look beautiful, Mommy. Seo-jun sat on the velvet sofa in a tiny tuxedo, legs swinging like this was just another Sunday. Daddy's gonna cry, he grinned. Brie smiled faintly. Your daddy doesn't cry. The door opened. Minjun stepped inside, earpiece in place, eye scanning the room. The Ghost Syndicate sent a message this morning. Brie's stomach dropped. What did it say? Minjun held up his phone. Red dragons don't marry waitresses. They bury them. He turned the screen toward her. It was a photo of her bouquet. Already placed inside the cathedral. Someone had been close enough to touch it. They were already inside. Brie looked at Seo-jun. Then back at Minjun. Does Kwanwoo know? He's already eliminated 2 compromised security guards, and personally searched the priest. Did the priest pass? Minjun's expression didn't change. Barely. Brie exhaled once. Then straightened her shoulders. Then let's get married. She picked up her bouquet. Before someone tries to object with a bullet. And someone did. The cathedral erupted. 500 guests turned at once. 12 men posing as catering staff reached for their guns. And the Red Dragon wedding became a battlefield. 500 people filled the pews. CEOs. Politicians. Celebrities. And underneath their designer suits and elegant gowns, Brie knew at least half of them carried weapons. This wasn't just a wedding. It was a gathering of the most dangerous people in Asia, all in one room, all pretending to celebrate love. The music started. Pachelbel's Canon in D, played by a string quartet that had been background checked for 3 weeks. Brie took a breath and stepped into the aisle. Every head turned. She heard the whispers even over the music. That's her? The waitress? I heard she walked into a white tiger ambush unarmed. Kwanwoo Lee bought her a restaurant just because someone yelled at her. She's either the bravest woman in Korea or the most foolish. Brie kept her eyes forward. On the altar, Kwanwoo stood waiting, and the sight of him made her forget how to breathe. He wore a black tuxedo custom tailored to perfection, but it was his face that stopped her heart. For once, the mask was completely gone. He looked at her like she was the only person in the world, like every dangerous man in this room would have to go through him to reach her. And they would. She knew that now. Kwanwoo Lee would burn the world to keep her safe. She reached the altar. Took his hands. They were shaking. Seo-jun had been right. The dragon was about to cry. The priest began. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today. A phone buzzed. Then another. Then a dozen. Minjun's hand went to his earpiece. His face went white. Kwanwoo's jaw tightened, but he didn't look away from Brie. How many? 12 confirmed hostiles. Posing as catering staff. Minjun's voice was barely audible. They're in the building. The guests shifted. Hands moved toward concealed weapons. The air in the cathedral changed from celebratory to predatory in seconds. Clear the venue, Kwanwoo said calmly. Now. Sir, if we evacuate, it shows weakness. I don't care. Kwanwoo's eyes finally left Brie's, scanning the crowd with cold calculation. Get everyone out. Except the hostiles. Trap them inside. It happened fast. Guards appeared from nowhere, ushering confused guests toward side exits. The string quartet kept playing, weirdly, like background music to an evacuation. Within 3 minutes, the cathedral was empty except for Kwanwoo's core team, Brie, Seo-jun, and 12 men who'd been stupid enough to crash a Red Dragon wedding. Seo-jun, come here. Brie pulled him close, positioning herself between him and the cathedral doors. The hostiles realized too late they'd been identified. They went for their guns. Kwanwoo's men were faster. Gunfire erupted in the house of God. Brie threw herself over Seo-jun, her Kevlar-lined dress doing exactly what it was designed to do as a bullet meant for her back ricocheted off the reinforced silk. The fight lasted 45 seconds. When the smoke cleared, all 12 hostiles were on the ground. Dead or dying. Kwanwoo walked over to Brie, helped her up. His tuxedo had blood on it, not his own. His hair was slightly disheveled. But his eyes were soft when they found hers. Are you hurt? No. Brie looked at Seo-jun, who was wide-eyed but unharmed. We're okay. Kwanwoo turned to the priest, who was hiding behind the altar, shaking. Finish the ceremony. I can't, there are bodies. Then step over them. Kwanwoo's voice left no room for argument. I'm getting married today. They already ruined the photographs. They're not ruining this. The priest scrambled up, hands shaking so badly he could barely hold his book. Do you, Kwanwoo Lee, take Brianna Jones to be your lawfully wedded wife? I do. And do you, Brianna Jones? I do, Brie said before he could finish. I absolutely do. Then by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the... Kwanwoo pulled Brie into his arms and kissed her like the world was ending. Like they hadn't just survived an assassination attempt. Like they were the only two people who'd ever mattered. When they finally pulled apart, Seo-jun was clapping. Min-jun was smiling despite himself. And somewhere in the distance, sirens were approaching. Welcome to the family, Mrs. Lee. The dragon got married that day. Over 12 bodies. The honeymoon suite had bulletproof windows. Brie stood by the glass, still in her ruined wedding dress, watching the city lights below. Seoul looked peaceful from 40 floors up. Like the gunfight in the cathedral had never happened. Behind her, Kwanwoo was on the phone. Speaking rapid Korean, his voice hard and cold. She'd learned to recognize that tone. Someone was about to have a very bad night. He hung up. Silence filled the room. I'm sorry, he said quietly. Brie turned. For what? Your wedding day should have been perfect. It was, Brie said quietly. I married you. His jaw tightened. You almost died. But I didn't. A knock on the door made them both tense. Kwanwoo's hand moved toward his gun automatically. It's me, Min-jun's voice called. We need to talk. Now. Kwanwoo opened the door. Min-jun's face was grim. The 12 men at the cathedral? They were just a distraction. He held up his tablet, showing security footage. While we were dealing with them, someone broke into the penthouse. Seo-jun's room. Brie's heart stopped. Is he okay? He's fine. He was with us at the wedding. Min-jun's jaw tightened. But they left something behind. He showed them a photo. On Seo-jun's pillow, someone had placed a white envelope with red writing. Congratulations on your wedding. We'll send a gift when the baby arrives. Brie's hand moved instinctively to her stomach. She wasn't pregnant. Not yet. But they already knew she would be. Brie thought the worst was over. She was wrong. The reception happened 3 days later. Kwanwoo had insisted on waiting, giving his security team time to sweep everything twice. Maybe 3 times. The ballroom glittered with crystal chandeliers and gold decorations. 500 guests in expensive suits and designer dresses. A 10-tier wedding cake that cost more than a car. Champagne flowing like water. Brie wore a different dress now, silver silk with the same Kevlar lining. She was learning that in this world, fashion and protection went hand in hand. Smile, Kwanwoo whispered in her ear. They're watching. She knew. Every crime family in Asia had representatives here. Watching. Judging. Waiting to see if the American waitress would crack under pressure. She smiled wider. The toasts began. Business partners stood up, praising Kwanwoo's leadership. Politicians talked about unity and strength. Everyone said the right words, but Brie could feel the tension underneath. Like everyone was holding their breath. Then it was Minjun's turn. He stood, raised his glass of champagne. To the dragon and his queen. May your union bring. He stopped mid-sentence. Stared at his glass. His face went white. In one smooth motion, he threw the champagne across the room. The glass shattered against the wall. Nobody drinks, he shouted. Don't touch the champagne. The room froze. Kwanwoo was already moving, pulling Brie behind him. Guards appeared from everywhere, guns drawn. What is it? Kwanwoo's voice was deadly calm. Minjun held up his glass to the light. At the bottom, barely visible, was a thin residue. Oily. Wrong. Ricin, he said quietly. In the champagne meant for you and Mrs. Lee. Brie's stomach turned. Ricin. She'd seen a documentary once. Deadly poison. No taste. No smell. You'd be dead in hours. How many glasses? Kwanwoo asked. Just yours. And hers. Minjun's hand shook. Someone wanted to kill you both. Tonight. In front of everyone. Kwanwoo turned to the crowd. His smile was terrifying. It seems, he said softly, someone at my wedding reception wants me dead. His eyes scanned the room like a predator choosing prey. Let's find out who. Brie woke up sick for the third morning in a row. She barely made it to the bathroom before her stomach emptied. Kwanwoo was already awake, holding her hair back, his hand steady on her shoulder. I'm calling the doctor, he said. It's just stress. Brie rinsed her mouth. Between the wedding attack and the poisoned champagne, my body is. She threw up again. Kwanwoo was already on the phone. 2 hours later, Dr. Park arrived at the penthouse. She was in her 50s, calm and professional. She'd been the Lee family doctor for 20 years. When did the nausea start? Dr. Park asked, setting up her medical bag. 3 days ago. Right after the reception. Any other symptoms? Fatigue? Dizziness? Brie thought about it. I've been tired. But I thought that was normal. Planning a wedding is exhausting. Especially when people keep trying to kill you at it, Dr. Park said dryly. She pulled out a small test kit. Mrs. Lee, when was your last period? Brie's heart skipped. I don't remember. Everything's been so crazy, I wasn't paying attention. Dr. Park handed her the test. Bathrooms are that way. 5 minutes later, Brie stared at 2 pink lines. Positive. She walked out of the bathroom in a daze. Kwanwoo stood by the window, arms crossed, looking tense. Seojun sat on the couch, swinging his legs. Well? Kwanwoo asked. Brie's voice came out as a whisper. I'm pregnant. The room went completely silent. Seojun jumped off the couch, eyes huge. I'm gonna be a big brother? Yes, baby. You are. He screamed with joy, running to hug her. Kwanwoo didn't move. His face had gone pale. Not angry. Not scared. Something else. Something deeper. How far along? His voice was rough. About 6 weeks, Dr. Park said. Early, but healthy. Kwanwoo crossed the room in 3 steps. He pulled Brie into his arms, held her like she might break. The Ghost Syndicate knows, he whispered against her hair. They knew before we did. The note on Seojun's pillow flashed through Brie's mind. We'll send a gift when the baby arrives. They weren't just fighting for themselves anymore. They were fighting for their unborn child. Seo-jun couldn't stop talking about the baby. Can I teach him to ride a bike? He asked at breakfast. And play video games? And make sandwiches like you taught me? What makes you think it's a brother? Brie smiled, sipping her ginger tea. Regular coffee made her nauseous now. I just know. Seo-jun was completely certain. It's a boy. I can feel it. Kwon-woo looked up from his tablet. He'd been reading security reports, but his eyes softened when he looked at his son. And what would you name this brother of yours? Seo-jun's face got serious. He put down his chopsticks like this was important business. Min-ho, he said quietly. The room went still. Kwon-woo's expression changed. Where did you hear that name? I didn't hear it. I dreamed about it. Seo-jun looked at his father. Last night, I dreamed about a baby. He had your eyes and mommy's smile. And when I asked his name, he said Min-ho. Brie felt tears prick her eyes. She didn't even know why. Do you know what that name means? Kwon-woo asked softly. Seo-jun shook his head. Min means clever and quick. Ho means goodness and protection. Kwon-woo reached across the table, touched his son's hand. It's a strong name. A name for someone who will protect others. Like you protect us, Seo-jun said. Like we all protect each other. Brie placed her hand on her still flat stomach. Min-ho. It felt right. Like the baby had already chosen his own name. What if it's a girl? She asked. It's not, both Kwon-woo and Seo-jun said at the same time. She laughed. Okay. Min-ho it is. Seo-jun grinned so wide his whole face lit up. Can I tell him stories? When he's still in your belly? Of course, baby. That night, Seo-jun pressed his ear against Brie's stomach. Hi, Min-ho, he whispered. I'm your big brother. I'm gonna teach you everything. And I promise, his voice got fierce, I'll never let anyone hurt you. Ever. Brie looked at Kwon-woo. He was watching his son with an expression she'd never seen before. Pride. Love. And something that looked like fear. Because they both knew the truth. In their world, that was a promise Seo-jun might not be able to keep. The meeting room fell silent when Brie walked in. 12 men sat around the long table. The Red Dragon Council. Old families who'd served the Lees for generations. They'd been talking in rapid Korean, but stopped the moment they saw her. Kwon-woo had asked her to attend. You're my wife now. You need to understand how the organization works. But from the looks on their faces, not everyone agreed. Gentlemen, Kwon-woo said coldly. My wife will be joining us today. An older man at the end of the table stood up. Park Jin-sung. Brie recognized him from the wedding. He'd been one of the few who hadn't smiled. With respect, Chairman, this is not appropriate. His English was perfect but harsh. Council meetings are for blood families only. She is family, Kwon-woo said. She carries your child, yes. But she has no lineage. No history with our organization. Park looked directly at Brie. She was a waitress 6 months ago. Now she sits at our table? Other men shifted uncomfortably. Some nodded in agreement. Brie's face burned, but she kept quiet. Kwon-woo had warned her this might happen. Mrs. Lee walked into a white tiger ambush to save my son, Min-jun said quietly from his corner. She's earned her place. She got lucky, another man muttered. Bravery doesn't equal leadership. Enough. Kwon-woo's voice cut through the room like a knife. You question my judgment? Park Jin-sung didn't back down. I question bringing an outsider into our inner circle. Especially now, when the Ghost Syndicate is targeting us. How do we know she's not? Finish that sentence, Kwon-woo said softly, and you'll lose your tongue. The room went ice cold. Park's jaw tightened. The old families are concerned. A non-Korean woman bearing the Dragonair? It's unprecedented. Untraditional. Tradition didn't save my first wife, Kwon-woo said, and every man in the room flinched. Tradition didn't protect my son when he was taken. But this woman? He looked at Brie. She did. She got lucky, Park repeated. Brie had heard enough. She stood up slowly. Every eye turned to her. You're right, she said calmly. I'm not Korean. I don't have lineage. 6 months ago, I was serving coffee and getting yelled at by my boss. Park's expression said exactly my point. But I chose this family when I had every reason to run. I stayed when people told me to leave. And I will protect my children with everything I have. She met Park's eyes directly. So you can either accept that, or you can leave this table. Your choice. The silence was deafening. Then Min-jun started clapping. Slowly. Others joined in. Not everyone. But enough. Park Jin-sung sat down, his face unreadable. The meeting continued. But Brie knew the real fight had just begun. Not everyone wanted an American queen. And some would do anything to remove her. The punch came fast. Brie barely blocked it. Again, her instructor said. Faster. Ji-won was a former Special Forces operative. Small, fierce, and completely without mercy. Kwon-woo had hired her the day after Brie announced her pregnancy. I can't train a pregnant woman to fight, Ji-won had protested. Then train her to survive, Kwon-woo had replied. Now Brie spent every morning in the gym, learning how to break a chokehold, disarm an attacker, and turn everyday objects into weapons. Her body was changing, a slight curve to her belly, exhaustion that hit like a truck, but Ji-won didn't care. Pregnancy is not a weakness, she said, demonstrating a move. It's motivation. You're protecting 2 lives now. By the time Brie arrived at the restaurant, she was usually sore and tired. But Marco's, her restaurant now, was the one place that still felt normal. Morning, boss, Tony called from the kitchen. Not the old Tony who'd screamed at her. A new cook, trained and respectful. Brie tied on her apron. Being pregnant didn't mean she stopped working. If anything, she worked harder. The restaurant was hers. Something she'd built, not something given to her. Table 6 needs coffee, Maria, one of the servers, called out. Brie grabbed the pot, walking between tables. She still loved this part. The simple act of serving people, making them smile. Excuse me. A man at table 6 looked up. Mid-40s, expensive suit. Aren't you Kwon-woo Lee's wife? Brie's training kicked in automatically. She scanned him. Hands visible. No bulges under his jacket. Probably safe. I am, she said carefully. I just wanted to say congratulations. On the baby. He smiled. My wife and I are expecting too. It's our first. Brie relaxed. Congratulations to you too. When are you due? November. Us too. November 12th. He pulled out his phone, showing her an ultrasound picture. We're having a girl. For a moment, it felt beautifully normal. 2 strangers talking about babies and due dates. Then Brie's phone buzzed. A text from Min-jun, security breach at the restaurant. Get to the kitchen. Now. She smiled at the man. Enjoy your breakfast. Then she walked calmly toward the kitchen, hand moving to the small panic button hidden in her apron pocket. Normal never lasted long. The ultrasound room was cold and sterile. Brie lay on the examination table, Kwon-woo holding her hand, while Dr. Park moved the wand across her growing belly. There, Dr. Park said, pointing at the screen. That's the heartbeat. Brie's eyes filled with tears. The tiny flutter on the screen was her baby. Min-ho. Real and alive. Strong heartbeat, Dr. Park smiled. Very healthy. Quan Wu squeezed Brie's hand. His eyes were locked on the screen like he was memorizing every detail. Can you tell if it's a boy? Brie asked. Too early. But in a few weeks. The lights went out. Complete darkness. The ultrasound machine died with a soft beep. Quan Wu was already moving, pulling Brie behind him. She heard the click of his gun being drawn. Stay down, he whispered. The emergency lights flickered on. Red and dim. Dr. Park stood frozen by the door. The backup generator should have. A piece of paper slid under the door. White envelope. Red seal. Minjun burst in, gun drawn, 3 guards behind him. Sir, the entire building lost power. Just this floor. Quan Wu picked up the envelope with a gloved hand. Opened it carefully. Inside was a single ultrasound picture. But not Brie's. Someone else's baby. Written across it in red ink, we're expecting 2. Let's see whose child survives longer. Brie felt ice flood her veins. They were here, she whispered. In this building. Well, we were. I know. Quan Wu's voice was deadly calm, but his hand shook slightly as he helped her sit up. Minjun, I want every security camera checked. Every person who entered this building today. Every employee background checked again. Sir, that's over 300 people. I don't care if it's 3,000. Quan Wu's eyes were black with rage. Find them. Dr. Park's face had gone pale. Mr. Lee, I've been coming to this clinic for 15 years. The security is not enough. Quan Wu wrapped a blanket around Brie's shoulders. Clearly. Brie looked at the ultrasound image again. Another woman's baby. Another family being threatened. They're not just coming after us, she said quietly. They're going after everyone. Using fear. Then we show them, Quan Wu said, his voice like steel, that the dragon doesn't know fear. But as they left the clinic, surrounded by guards, Brie touched her belly protectively. She was afraid. Terrified. And the ghost syndicate knew it. The safe house wasn't a house. It was a fortress. 3 hours outside Seoul, built into the side of a mountain, surrounded by forest and razor wire. Brie counted 12 guards on the approach road alone. Cameras everywhere. Motion sensors in the trees. This is where we're staying? Seo Jun pressed his face against the car window. Until the baby comes, Quan Wu said. It's the most secure location in Korea. The building looked like a luxury resort from the outside. Inside, it was a bunker. Reinforced steel doors. Bulletproof windows. A panic room within a panic room. The previous owner was a paranoid billionaire, Minjun explained as he showed them around. He built this place to survive a nuclear war. Perfect for surviving the ghost syndicate, Brie muttered. Her room, their room, was on the 3rd floor. Huge windows overlooking the mountains, but Minjun assured her the glass could stop a rocket launcher. How long do we have to stay here? Seo Jun asked quietly that night at dinner. Quan Wu looked at Brie's belly. She was 4 months now, starting to show. Until it's safe. When will that be? No one answered. The first week was strange. Quiet. Peaceful, almost. Brie walked the secured grounds with guards following at a distance. Seo Jun did his schoolwork with a tutor who'd been background checked 17 times. Quan Wu worked from a secure office, managing the Red Dragon Empire remotely. It felt like prison. A very nice prison, but still a cage. I hate this, Brie said one night, staring out at the dark forest. Quan Wu came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her carefully. I know. I can't even go to my own restaurant. Can't see my friends. Can't live my life. You're alive. That's what matters. Is this what Minho's life will be? Hiding? Always afraid? Quan Wu's jaw tightened. No. I'll end this before he's born. I promise. But promises were hard to keep when the enemy was a ghost. On the 8th night, the storm came. Rain hammered the windows. Thunder shook the walls. The lights flickered once, twice. Then stayed on. The backup generators were working perfectly. Brie relaxed slightly. Then she heard it. A sound that didn't belong. Breaking glass. Somewhere below them. Kwan-woo heard it too. He grabbed his gun from the nightstand. They found us, he whispered. The fortress wasn't safe anymore. The alarm screamed through the fortress. Brie grabbed Seo-jun from his room, pulling him close. He was already awake, eyes wide with fear. Stay behind me, Kwan-woo ordered, gun drawn. Min-jun appeared in the hallway, blood running down his face. 6 hostiles. Maybe more. He wiped his eyes. They cut the perimeter cameras during the lightning strikes. We didn't see them coming. Gunfire erupted below. Shouting in Korean. More breaking glass. The panic room, Kwan-woo said. Now. They ran down the hallway. Brie's heart pounded. Her hand protectively covered her belly. 4 months pregnant. She couldn't run as fast as before. Seo-jun held her other hand, keeping pace. Behind them, footsteps. Heavy. Fast. Kwan-woo spun and fired 3 shots. A man in black dropped, sliding across the marble floor. Go! Kwan-woo shouted. They reached the panic room. Min-jun punched in the code. The steel door slid open. Inside. Brie shoved Seo-jun through first. Started to follow. A hand grabbed her arm. Yanked her backward. She screamed. The assassin wore a black mask, but his eyes were cold and empty. He pressed a knife against her throat. Drop the gun, dragon, he said in broken English. Or I open her neck. Kwan-woo froze. His gun pointed at the man's head, but his hands were shaking. He couldn't risk the shot. Not with the knife so close to Brie's skin. Let her go, Kwan-woo said, voice deadly quiet. Take me instead. No deals. She dies. The baby dies. Your empire dies. Brie felt the knife press harder. Felt a trickle of blood run down her neck. In the panic room, Seo-jun was crying. Mommy. Everything slowed down. Brie remembered Ji-won's training. When someone grabs you from behind, they expect you to pull away. Do the opposite. She slammed her head backward as hard as she could. Heard the crunch of the assassin's nose breaking. His grip loosened for 1 second. 1 second was enough. Kwan-woo fired. The assassin dropped. Brie stumbled forward, hand on her throat. The cut was shallow. Not deep enough to be serious. Kwan-woo caught her, pulled her into the panic room. Min-jun slammed the door shut behind them. They were safe. For now. But outside, the battle was still raging. And Brie knew one terrifying truth. They'd found the fortress. Nowhere was safe anymore. The panic room had supplies for 2 weeks. Food. Water. Medical kit. Weapons. But it only had one exit. They'd been locked inside for 3 hours. Outside, the sounds of fighting had stopped. No more gunfire. No more shouting. Just silence. That scared Brie more than the noise. Min-jun, Kwan-woo spoke into his radio. Status report. Static. Min-jun, respond. Nothing. Kwan-woo's face went dark. He checked his gun. 2 magazines left. They cut the communications, he said quietly. We're on our own. Seo-jun sat in the corner, hugging his knees. Brie wanted to comfort him, but her hands wouldn't stop shaking. A sound at the door. Scratching. Like someone testing the lock. Kwan-woo aimed his gun. Get behind the supply cabinet. Both of you. I can fight, Brie said. You're pregnant. I can still fight. He looked at her. Saw the determination in her eyes. Handed her a second gun. Safety's off. Point and shoot. Don't hesitate. The scratching stopped. Then an explosion rocked the door. Smoke filled the room. Brie covered Seo Jun's mouth with her shirt, trying to filter the air. Through the smoke, shapes moved. 3 men in black tactical gear. Kwan-woo fired. 1 dropped. The other 2 scattered, using the smoke as cover. Where's the boy? One of them shouted. Brie's blood turned to ice. They weren't here for Kwan-woo. They were here for Seo Jun. She saw movement to her left. An assassin, creeping toward the cabinet where Seo Jun was hiding. Brie didn't think. Just moved. She threw herself between the man and her son, pulling the trigger. The gun kicked hard. The shot went wide. The assassin laughed. Stupid woman. Brie remembered Ji-won's words. The gun is your last resort. Your body is your first weapon. She kicked low and hard, hitting his knee. Heard it crack. He stumbled. She grabbed the coffee pot from the supply shelf and smashed it across his face. He went down. Kwan-woo finished the third assassin with 2 shots. Silence again. Brie stood there, shaking, the broken coffee pot still in her hand. Blood on her shirt. Not hers. Mommy? Seo Jun's voice was tiny. She dropped the pot and pulled him close. I've got you, baby. I've got you. Kwan-woo stared at her with something like awe. You saved his life, he whispered. Brie looked at the unconscious man on the floor. That's what mothers do. The contraction started at 2 a.m. Brie woke up gasping, clutching her stomach. Too early. She was only 7 months along. Minho wasn't supposed to come yet. Kwan-woo, she whispered. Something's wrong. He was awake instantly. One look at her face and he was on the phone. Dr. Park. Now. It's the baby. They'd moved back to Seoul after the fortress attack. Kwan-woo had decided hiding was pointless. Better to fight in familiar territory. Now Brie wondered if that was a mistake. The drive to the hospital was a blur. Contractions every 5 minutes. Pain tearing through her body. Seo Jun held her hand in the back seat, terrified. Min-jun, Kwan-woo barked into his phone. Secure the hospital. Every floor. I want 50 men there before we arrive. But when they pulled up to Seoul Medical Center, something was wrong. Police cars everywhere. Lights flashing. Officers blocking the entrance. What's happening? Brie gasped between contractions. A police officer approached their car. The hospital is on lockdown. Bomb threat. No one in or out. My wife is in labor, Kwan-woo said coldly. I'm sorry, sir. We can't. Kwan-woo pulled out his phone, made 1 call. 30 seconds later, the police chief himself appeared. Mr. Lee. He looked nervous. We're handling the situation. There is no bomb, Kwan-woo said. This is a distraction. Someone called in a fake threat to trap us here. The chief's face went pale. How do you? Another contraction hit. Brie screamed. We're going inside, Kwan-woo said. Now. Or I'll make you regret it. They rushed her through the blocked entrance. Min-jun and 20 guards surrounded them. Police scrambled to keep up. The elevator doors opened on the maternity floor. Dr. Park was waiting. Room 304. It's ready. They got Brie into bed. Monitors hooked up. Dr. Park checked her quickly. She's dilating fast. The baby's coming whether we're ready or not. Kwan-woo held Brie's hand. You can do this. I'm scared, she whispered. I know. But you're the strongest person I've ever met. Another contraction. Harder this time. Outside the room, Minjun's radio crackled. Sir, we have movement. Third floor. Armed men. Quanwu's jaw tightened. How many? At least 12. They're coming up the stairs. The ghost syndicate had come. And Brie was about to give birth in a war zone. Gunfire echoed in the hallway. Push, Dr. Park commanded. You need to push now. Brie screamed, gripping Quanwu's hand so hard she thought she'd break his fingers. Outside the door, she heard shouting. More shots. Men fighting and dying while she fought to bring life into the world. I can't, she gasped. Yes, you can. Quanwu's voice was steady, but his eyes kept darting to the door. You're almost there. The door burst open. Minjun stumbled in, blood on his shoulder. They broke through the third floor. We're holding them at the elevator, but... Then hold harder. Quanwu roared. Another contraction. Brie pushed with everything she had. I see the head. Dr. Park's voice rose with excitement. One more push. Come on, Mrs. Lee. Brie heard an explosion. Close. Too close. Seo Jun was in the corner with a nurse, eyes covered, crying. For Minho, Brie whispered to herself. For my baby. She pushed. And suddenly, the room filled with a sound she'd never heard before. A baby crying. Strong. Loud. Angry at being born into chaos. It's a boy. Dr. Park held him up, tiny and red and perfect. Brie started crying. Minho. Dr. Park quickly cleaned him, checked him over. Premature, but healthy. Strong lungs, definitely. She placed the baby on Brie's chest. He was so small. So fragile. But his eyes, dark like Quanwu's, stared up at her with fierce determination. Hello, my brave boy, Brie whispered. Quanwu touched his son's tiny hand. One finger. Minho's whole fist wrapped around it. For one perfect moment, everything else disappeared. The gunfire. The danger. The war happening outside their door. There was only this. Their family. Complete. Then Minjun's radio crackled. Sir, they're coming up the stairs. We can't hold them much longer. Quanwu's expression hardened. He kissed Brie's forehead, then Minho's. Stay here. Lock the door behind me. He picked up his gun. No one touches my family. Quanwu. I'll come back. I promise. He left the room. Brie heard the lock click. She held Minho closer, his tiny heartbeat against hers. Seo Jun crawled onto the bed beside them. He's so small. He's perfect, Brie whispered. Outside, the battle raged. Inside, a mother held her newborn son. And prayed his father would survive to see him grow up. Minho was 3 days old when the bounty appeared. Brie was nursing him in the heavily guarded hospital room when Minjun burst in, tablet in hand. His face was ashen. Mrs. Lee, you need to see this. The image on the screen made her stomach drop. A photo of Minho. Someone had taken it through the hospital window with a long-range camera. Below the photo, text in Korean and English. $5 million. For the dragon's heir. Dead or alive? Brie's hand shook. She pulled Minho closer to her chest. When did this go up? Quanwu's voice was terrifyingly calm. 20 minutes ago. Posted on the dark web. Encrypted channels. Minjun scrolled through more screenshots. It's already been shared 300 times. Every mercenary, every hitman, every desperate criminal in Asia has seen it. 5 million, Brie whispered. For a baby. For the future of the Red Dragon, Minjun corrected grimly. If Minho dies, the bloodline is. Don't. Quan Wu's voice could cut steel. Don't finish that sentence. Seo Jun sat in the corner, playing with his toy cars, unaware of the conversation. But Brie saw how Quan Wu kept glancing at him too. Both sons. Both targets. We need to move locations, Minjun said. This hospital is compromised. Too many access points. Where? Brie asked. The fortress wasn't safe. The penthouse isn't safe. Where can we go where they won't find us? Quan Wu stared out the window at Seoul spreading below. His empire. His city. Now hunting his son. Nowhere, he said quietly. There's nowhere left to hide. Dr. Park entered, holding discharge papers. Mrs. Lee can leave today. The baby is strong enough. Good. Quan Wu pulled out his phone. Minjun, I want every asset we have activated. Call in every favor. Every alliance. I want the Ghost Syndicate leadership identified within 48 hours. Sir, they operate in cells. No central command. Tracking them is. I don't care if I have to burn this city to the ground. Quan Wu's eyes were black ice. They put a price on my son's head. Now I'll put a price on theirs. He looked at Brie holding Minho. 1 million for each Ghost Syndicate leader. 10 million for whoever brings me the person who posted that bounty. Minjun's eyes widened. Sir, that's cheap, Quan Wu finished. Compared to what my son's life is worth. The dragon had just declared war. And he would show no mercy. They found the first Ghost Syndicate leader in Busan. Kim Tae-sung. Mid-level operator. Responsible for coordinating 3 of the attacks on the family. Minjun's team brought him to the basement of the Red Dragon headquarters. Tied to a chair. Bleeding. Terrified. Quan Wu stood over him, gun in hand. You put a bounty on my 3-day-old son, he said quietly. I didn't, I just followed orders, please. Whose orders? I don't know. They use encrypted channels. No names. I swear. Quan Wu pressed the gun against the man's forehead. His finger touched the trigger. One squeeze. That's all it would take. He'd been killed before. Many times. Men who threatened his empire. Men who deserved it. But this time, something stopped him. Brie's voice in his head, you're not just the dragon anymore. You're a father. What kind of man do you want your sons to see? His hand trembled. Sir? Minjun waited in the corner. Your orders? Quan Wu lowered the gun. Kim Tae-sung sobbed with relief. Thank you, thank you. You're going to prison, Quan Wu said coldly. 20 years minimum. And you're going to give us every piece of information you have about the Ghost Syndicate. Every contact. Every meeting. Every plan. I will. I promise. Anything? Quan Wu walked toward the door, then stopped. If you lie to us even once, I'll come back. And next time, my wife won't be upstairs with our sons. Next time, I'll be the dragon. Not the father. He left the basement. Upstairs, Brie sat in the nursery, rocking Minho. Seo Jun was asleep on the couch nearby. Is he dead? She asked quietly when Quan Wu entered. No. She looked up, surprised. He's going to prison instead. He'll talk. Give us information. Brie stood, walked to him. That must have been hard for you. You have no idea. His voice cracked slightly. Everything in me wanted to kill him. For threatening Minho. For putting my family in danger. But you didn't. Because I kept hearing your voice. Kept seeing Seo Jun's face. Minho's eyes. He sat down heavily. I've been the dragon for so long, I forgot how to be anything else. But our sons, they need a father. Not a monster. Brie placed Minho in his arms. The baby stirred, making a small sound. You're both, she said gently. Dragon when you need to protect us. Father when you need to love us. That's what makes you strong. Quanwu stared at his son. So tiny. So innocent. I don't know if I can do both. You already are. The security footage didn't lie. Minjun pulled it up on the main screen. Timestamp, 2:47 a.m. 2 nights ago, while everyone slept. A guard entered Minho's nursery. Stood over the crib for 30 seconds. Then, left. Who is that? Quanwu's voice was deadly quiet. Minjun zoomed in on his face. Brie's heart stopped. No, she whispered. It was Youngho. The guard who'd been with them since the beginning. Who'd saved her life in the alley attack. Who'd played with Seo-jun. Who'd smiled at Minho's first photos. He's been with us for 8 years, Minjun said, voice tight with anger. I vetted him myself. Where is he now? In the building. 3rd floor. He doesn't know we found out. Quanwu stood. Bring him to my office. Quietly. 10 minutes later, Youngho walked into the office, smiling. You wanted to see me, sir? Sit down. Youngho sat. His smile faded when he saw their faces. Is something wrong? Quanwu played the footage. Youngho's face went pale. I can explain. You entered my son's room at 2 a.m. Without permission. Without reason. Quanwu's voice was ice. Explain that. I heard a noise. I was checking. Don't lie to me. Quanwu slammed his fist on the desk. We found the wire transfer. $50,000. Sent to your account 3 days ago. From an untraceable source. Youngho's hand shook. They have my daughter, he whispered finally. The Ghost Syndicate. They took her from her school 2 weeks ago. Said they'd kill her if I didn't help them. Brie felt her anger shift to horror. You have a daughter? She's 6. Her name is Minji. She's all I have. Tears ran down his face. They said all I had to do was map the security systems. Take photos of the baby's routine. I never touched him. I swear. I'd never hurt Minho. But you gave them the information to do it, Minjun said coldly. They have my daughter. Youngho's voice broke. What would you do? If someone took Seo-jun or Minho? What would you do? The room went silent. Quanwu stared at the man who'd served him loyally for 8 years. The man who'd become a traitor to save his child. I'd burn the world down, Quanwu said quietly. He understood. That was the worst part. He completely understood. Where is she? Brie asked. Where's your daughter? I don't know. They won't tell me until, Youngho stopped. Until what? Minjun demanded. Youngho looked at the floor. Until Minho is dead. Absolutely not, Quanwu said. It's the only way, Brie insisted. They stood in the war room. Maps spread across the table. Security feeds on every screen. Minho slept upstairs, protected by 20 guards. But it wasn't enough. It would never be enough. They want Minho, Brie said. So we give them a target. Me. Walking around the city. Visible. Easy to grab. You just gave birth 2 weeks ago. I know my own body. I can do this. She looked at Minjun. Youngho gave them our security details. Our routines. They know Minho never leaves the building. So they'll wait for an opportunity. A mistake. So we give them one, Minjun said slowly, understanding dawning. We make them think you're taking the baby somewhere. Alone. Vulnerable. Exactly. Quanwu slammed his hand on the table. I won't use my wife as bait. You're not using me. I'm volunteering. Brie stepped closer. Every day we wait, more criminals see that bounty. More people come after our son. This ends when we find the Ghost Syndicate leadership. And they won't show themselves unless they think they can win. She's right, Minjun said quietly. I don't care if she's right. Quan Wu's voice rose. I won't risk losing her. You won't lose me. Brie took his face in her hands. Because you'll be watching. Every step. Every breath. The moment they make a move, you'll be there. And if I'm not fast enough? You will be. You always are. The plan came together in 2 hours. Brie would leave the building at noon. Carrying what looked like a baby carrier, covered with a blanket. She'd walk to the restaurant, a familiar routine. Guards would follow at a distance, but not too close. Close enough to seem careless. The baby carrier would contain a doll. Minho would stay at headquarters, safe with Seo Jun. Wear this. Quan Wu handed her a thin vest. Kevlar, like her wedding dress. Under your jacket. I will. And this. He gave her a small earpiece. I'll hear everything. See everything through the camera. Okay. He pulled her close. If anything feels wrong, anything at all, you run. You don't play the hero. You run. I promise. At noon, Brie walked out the front door. The baby carrier felt heavy in her arms, even though it only held a doll and some blankets. She walked slowly. Made herself an easy target. 2 blocks from headquarters, she felt eyes on her. They were watching. I've got movement, Minjun's voice in her ear. Black sedan. Following you. 3 cars back. Brie kept walking. Her heart pounded. 2 men on foot. East side. Matching your pace. She turned down the alley she always used. The shortcut to the restaurant. The trap was set. Now she just had to hope she'd survive it. They didn't grab her in the alley. Instead, a van pulled up. Door, sliding open. A man pointing a gun. Get in. Don't scream. Don't run. Or we kill everyone in that restaurant you love so much. Brie saw the wire in his ear. The professional gear. These weren't street thugs. She got in the van. Good choice, the man said. He grabbed the baby carrier, pulled back the blanket. Saw the doll. His face went dark. Where's the real baby? Safe, Brie said. Somewhere you'll never find him. He hit her across the face. Hard. Her lip split. Quan Wu Li will trade anything for his wife and child. But you just made yourself worthless. Then let me go. No. You're still useful. He smiled coldly. As a message. The van drove for 20 minutes. When the door opened, Brie's stomach dropped. The docks. The same warehouse district where she'd been taken with Seo Jun months ago. Fitting, isn't it? The man dragged her out. Where the dragon's story with you began. Where it ends. Inside the warehouse, a woman waited. 50s. Elegant suit. Cold eyes. Brianna Lee, she said. Finally we met. I'm Song Minna. Ghost Syndicate. I'm the one who's been trying to kill your family. Brie's hands were tied, but she stood tall. Why? What did we ever do to you? You married into power you didn't earn. Changed the balance of the underworld. Made the dragon soft. Minna circled her like a shark. Before you, Quan Wu Li was predictable. Brutal but honorable. Now? He hesitates. Shows mercy. All because of you. That makes him stronger, not weaker. That makes him vulnerable. Minna pulled out her phone. Let's see if he'll trade his empire to save you. She dialed. Quan Wu answered on the first ring. Where is she? Pier 17. Same warehouse. You remember, where you rescued your son and this waitress. Minna smiled. Come alone. Unarmed. Surrender yourself to us, and she lives. I'm coming. Kwan-woo, no. Brie shouted. It's a trap. They'll kill you. Minna ended the call. He won't come alone, Brie said. I know. We're counting on it. Minna gestured to her men. 20 of them. All armed. When the dragon arrives with his army, we'll be ready. This warehouse will become his tomb. Brie's mind raced. She'd led them here. Her plan. Her idea. And now Kwan-woo was walking into a massacre. They made a mistake. They left Brie tied to a chair near the fuel barrels. Old warehouse. Old heating system. Dozens of rusty barrels stacked against the wall. The smell of gasoline and oil filled the air. Minna's men were focused on the entrance. Watching for Kwan-woo's arrival. Setting up positions. Loading weapons. No one was watching Brie closely. She worked the ropes against the sharp edge of the metal chair. Ji-won had taught her this. Ropes always have a weak point. Find it. Exploit it. The rope frayed. Slowly. Her wrists burned. Blood made her hands slippery. But she kept working. Through the high windows, she saw headlights. Multiple vehicles approaching. Kwan-woo was here. The rope snapped. Her hands were free. Brie stayed still. Kept them behind her back like she was still tied. Waited. Minna walked to the center of the warehouse. He came. The dragon actually came. The main door opened. Kwan-woo stepped inside. Alone. Hands raised. Behind him, hidden in the darkness, Brie knew Min-jun and the others were positioned. Waiting for the signal. Let her go, Kwan-woo said calmly. Soon. First, kneel. Kwan-woo knelt. Minna smiled. The mighty dragon. On his knees. For a woman. For my wife, he corrected. How sweet. How weak. She raised her gun. Say goodbye. Brie moved. She grabbed the lantern hanging above her. Threw it with everything she had. It smashed against the fuel barrels. Fire erupted. No. Minna screamed. The warehouse became chaotic. Flames spread fast. Men scattering. Smoke fills the air. Brie ran toward Kwan-woo. He met her halfway, pulling her close. The exits. Minna shouted. Block the exits. But Kwan-woo whistled once. Sharp. Loud. The warehouse doors exploded inward. 50 red dragon soldiers poured in. Armed. Organized. Ready. It wasn't a rescue. It was an execution. The fight was brutal and fast. Minna's people were outnumbered 3-1. The fire spread behind them, cutting off escape routes. Minna herself tried to run. Brie saw her heading for a side door. No, Brie whispered. She grabbed a metal pipe from the ground. Ran after her. Minna turned just as Brie swung. The pipe connected with her knee. Minna dropped, screaming. Brie stood over her, breathing hard. You threatened my children. You put a bounty on my baby's head. You tried to destroy my family. Please. You called me weak. Called me worthless. Said I made the dragon soft. Brie's voice was steel. But I'm the one standing. And you're the one begging. Guards surrounded them. Kwan-woo appeared, face covered in soot and blood. Finish her, Minna spat. That's what the dragon does. Kill me. Kwan-woo looked at Brie. Your choice. Brie stared at the woman who'd terrorized her family for months. Who'd made her afraid to sleep. Who'd put a price on her infant son's life? Every part of her wanted revenge. But then she thought of Min-ho. Seo Jun. What kind of mother did she want to be? No, Brie said quietly. She goes to prison. Life sentence. No parole. She'll live knowing she failed. Min-ho's face twisted with rage. Sometimes, Brie realized, living was a worse punishment than dying. The meeting took place in neutral territory. A private room at the Grand Hyatt. The same hotel where Brie had gotten married in a bulletproof dress. Representatives from every major crime family in Asia sat around the table. Yakuza from Japan. Triads from Hong Kong. The White Lotus from Taiwan. The remnants of the White Tiger clan. Quan Wu stood at the head of the table. Brie sat beside him, Min-ho sleeping in her arms. Thank you for coming, Quan Wu said calmly. The Yakuza representative, an older man with scars on his hands, spoke first. You called this meeting, Lee. After destroying the Ghost Syndicate. After putting half our associates in prison. What do you want? Peace, Quan Wu said simply. Laughter around the table. Peace? The triad leader leaned back. From the dragon? You've been at war for 6 months. A war I didn't start. But a war I will finish. Quan Wu placed a folder on the table. Inside our names. Every person who contributed to the bounty on my son. Every family who supported the Ghost Syndicate's attacks. He slid it to the center. 63 names. 63 people who thought they could target a 3-day-old baby. The room went quiet. I could kill them all. Burn their organizations to the ground. I have the resources. The motivation. Quan Wu's voice was ice. But I have 2 sons now. Sons who deserve to grow up in a world where they're not constantly running from assassins. So what are you proposing? The White Lotus representative asked. A treaty. You leave my family alone. All of you. My wife. My sons. My businesses. In return, I leave yours alone. And if we refuse? Quan Wu pressed a button. Screens around the room lit up. Security footage. Financial records. Compromising photos. Evidence of crimes. Hidden assets. Secret alliances. Every family's secrets. Displayed for all to see. I've spent 6 months gathering this, Quan Wu said quietly. Information on every organization represented here. Your weaknesses. Your vulnerabilities. Your secrets. Faces went pale around the table. If anything happens to my family, if my sons get so much as a scratch, this information goes to law enforcement worldwide. Your empires collapse. Your families go to prison. That's blackmail, the Yakuza leader said. That's insurance, Quan Wu corrected. I'm offering peace. But peace backed by the promise of total destruction if you break it. Brie adjusted Min-ho in her arms. The baby stirred but didn't wake. My husband is giving you a choice, she said softly. Leave us alone and prosper. Or come after us and lose everything. The triad leader looked at the screens. At the evidence. At Min-ho sleeping peacefully. What guarantees do we have? That you won't use this information against us anyway? My word, Quan Wu said. And the knowledge that I want the same thing you do. To build a future for my children. I can't do that if I'm constantly at war. Silence filled the room. Finally, the Yakuza representative stood. Extended his hand. Peace, then. For the children. One by one, the others followed. Handshakes. Agreements. An uneasy alliance built on mutual fear and respect. When the meeting ended, Brie and Quan Wu walked to their car. The sun was setting over Seoul. Do you think they'll honor it? Brie asked. For now. Fear is a powerful motivator. And when the fear fades? Quan Wu looked at Min-ho. By then, our sons will be old enough to defend themselves. 6 months later, Brie walked into the park. The same park where everything began. Same trees. Same benches. Same afternoon light filtering through the leaves. Seo-jun ran ahead, now 8 years old, carrying a soccer ball. Min-ho was in Brie's arms, 6 months old, grabbing at everything with chubby hands. Kwon-woo walked beside her. No guards today. No security detail following at a distance. Just a family on a Sunday afternoon. That's the bench, Seo-jun pointed. Where we met, right mommy? That's the one, baby. They sat down. The same bench where a lonely boy and a tired waitress had shared a sandwich. Brie couldn't believe it had only been a year and a half. It felt like a lifetime. Are you hungry? Kwon-woo pulled out a picnic basket. Inside were sandwiches. Homemade. He'd made them himself this morning. Seo-jun's eyes went wide. You made these, Daddy? Your mother taught me. He handed one to Seo-jun, then to Brie. Peanut butter and jelly. Cut diagonal because it tastes better that way. Brie laughed. Tears in her eyes. You remembered. I remember everything about that day. Kwon-woo looked at the bench. The moment my son gave you that bracelet, my life changed forever. Brie looked at her wrist. She still wore it. The red string bracelet. Faded now but never removed. Best promise I ever made, she said. Min-ho grabbed for the sandwich, getting jelly on his fingers. He laughed, a pure baby sound that made everyone smile. He looks like you, Seo-jun said to his father. He has your mother's smile, Kwon-woo replied. A jogger passed by. An old man with a dog. A woman with a stroller. Normal people living normal lives. Nobody stared. Nobody recognized them. Nobody cared. For the first time in months, they were invisible. Just a family in a park. Daddy? Seo-jun asked. Are the bad people really gone? Kwon-woo looked at his sons. Both of them. Safe. Healthy. Happy. Yes, he said. They're gone. It wasn't completely true. There would always be threats. Always be in danger. That was the world they lived in. But today, at this moment, they were safe. I love you, Brie said quietly, leaning against Kwon-woo's shoulder. I love you too. He kissed the top of her head. Both of you. All three of you. Seo-jun finished his sandwich and jumped up. Can we play soccer now? Go ahead. We'll watch. As Seo-jun ran off, kicking his ball, Brie looked at Min-ho in her arms. He grabbed her finger with his tiny hand. You did it, she whispered to Kwon-woo. You kept them safe. We did it, he corrected. You're the one who saved us all. The sun began to set, painting the park in gold and orange. Somewhere in the city, the Red Dragon Empire continued its business. Money moved. Deals were made. Power shifted. But here, on this bench, there was only peace. Kwon-woo pulled out his phone. Took a picture. His family. Together. Safe. What are you doing? Brie asked. Making a memory. So years from now, when Min-ho asks about the day his mother saved us all, I can show him this moment. I didn't save anyone. I just shared my sandwich. You shared everything. Kwon-woo looked at her with eyes full of love. Your kindness. Your courage. Your heart. You changed a monster into a man. A syndicate into a family. Brie kissed him. Soft and gentle. While Min-ho giggled between them, Seo-jun played in the fading light. This was what she'd chosen. Not the money. Not the power. Not the danger. This. Family. Love. Home. The park bench was just wood and metal. Nothing special. But it would always be sacred to her. Because this is where her story began. And where, finally, she found peace. Did Brie and Kwanwoo get the ending they deserved? Comment Dragon Queen if you loved this journey. And let me know, should there be a part 3 showing Minho and Seo Jun as teenagers protecting the family legacy? Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next epic story.